Hi Leatherland, and welcome to Thomas Time. Today's edition of Yellow Couch Time comes to us from the House of Hunt. They are going to talk about consent in relation to having a leather family. This is a really important topic because a lot of us consider ourselves to be a part of various leather families. I consider myself a part of the global leather family that is Leatherland. And I know that I consider you all members of my leather family. That said, consent is a very important issue in the interactions between us. And here today to talk to us are Miss Lillian Hunt and Tyke Hunt from the House of Hunt. I also want to stop and take a second to say to Tyke, thank you so much for all of the hard work you put into this video. Your editing and your words mean more to this global leather community than we can ever say. So, let's go see what they have to say, shall we?
Can I consent to this? No clicking.
Hello, my name is Lillian Hunt, and I am excited to be joining you today with Tyke, and we are going to talk to you a little bit about our family, the House of Hunt.
And consent.
One of the ways I would describe how the hierarchy works at the House of Hunt is in many ways I would describe myself as the captain of a ship, and the house being the ship. And ultimately I have the say on where we go, but every single person who's a part of it has a say, and they have a very important job, and I hope at all times that they feel that their contribution is considered and their thoughts are considered and their needs are considered. One of my boys fairly early on described it as a benevolent monarchy, and I actually think he was pretty close to it with that. How we define consent is that it has to work for everybody within the family, and it's something that's very, very fluid. So, for example, it takes 1 year to go from being considered to be a member of the House of Hunt to actually being initiated into the House of Hunt. And when I talk about consent being completely fluid, what I mean by that is the entire family has to be on board, the entire family has to be comfortable with that individual who's joining us, and the entire family has their needs and thoughts and wishes considered and listened to and heard. And when somebody has joined the house, it doesn't just stop there. Communication is something that continues throughout, and sometimes people's idea of consent may change, it may evolve over time, and that is something that we're very comfortable with. And what I encourage everyone to do is to seek out myself or Tyke, come find us and talk to us about what's going on.
And I think that consent is something that is not specific to necessarily a scene or an event or even sex. It's something that extends to every interaction that we have every day. And so, a lot of times, even just putting together a piece of equipment or polishing boots, there is consent involved with that, and it's something that can be ever evolving and something that you should always check in with, because whether you're the top or the bottom, the puppy or the handler, everybody has their own lines of how they will allow their person to be treated. One of the things that's important about the open line of communication is that without that, there's really no foundation for consent.
Correct.
You should never be afraid of telling somebody something, especially if it makes you uncomfortable or is pushing your boundaries too much. If you are afraid to say something or to speak up, I think that the relationship as a whole needs to possibly be reevaluated, not necessarily ended, but reevaluated and figure out what the root of that issue is as to why you can't speak freely with that individual.
Overall, as the Queen, the benevolent monarchy, my one of the most important factors for me is that there is harmony within our entire family. And that will go up and down day to day, as everybody's lives do. But overall, we strive to have a clear direction of where we're going and to keep harmony and support and a nucleus of support within the family. Now, there's one caveat to that I would say, and that is that there's a time and a place for everything. And one of the things that I personally am not a fan of is people going around and talking about family business, or talking about it online, or deciding to have a discussion in the middle of an event and become emotional and upset.
And if I were to do that, I would be violating
my consent.
your consent.
Yes, because we're a family, and a part of that is that we keep our family structure together.
So I think the basis for consent is really listening
and respect. I mean, respect is ultimately at the bottom, or the foundation of any relationship that you have, whatever it is. So I can categorically state that there is respect from all of the members in our family towards each other. And that if that were to not be the case, or if we were to feel that respect and therefore consent was being violated on any level, then we would discuss it, we would attempt to rectify it, we would offer solutions to rectify it.
We would listen to their solutions,
Right.
to the possibility of rectifying it.
Right.
And if that was not something that we can agree upon, then sometimes it's best to again reevaluate that relationship.
Another factor that I think is very important in understanding consent is honesty. And that also includes being honest to yourself. So if you are not honoring your personal boundaries and limitations, then you're being dishonest with yourself. And the person who you are doing a scene with, or the person who you are involved with at that time, may be completely unaware that you are transgressing on your own personal boundaries because you haven't communicated to them. So honesty can work with yourself, and it also includes being honest with the other person, which may be, I didn't sleep well last night, or I went out late the night before, so I'm not able to be fully present during this scene. And I always encourage people to be direct with me, even if they are uncomfortable telling me, even if it means that they have to confess that they did X, Y, and Z the night before. I would so much rather know, I would so much rather somebody say, this is what happened, this is what I did, and then I can make a decision on how to move forward. Lord Black, is this entirely necessary right now? I feel that my consent is being violated on this. We have discussed this
By a small fuzzy chihuahua.
By a small fuzzy
A
chihuahua.
small fuzzy chihuahua has
Which-
violated Lillian Hunt's consent.
Which goes to show you that just about anyone can violate your consent, even yourself.
So in conclusion, I think that once you build a really solid foundation of honesty, respect, and actively listening and communicating openly, then you can pretty much add all the decor from there. You built a solid foundation, you built your house upon that, a house being your relationship, and then you can add to it.
What I would say is that creating a healthy family is not to say that you won't have stumbling blocks and issues that arise from time to time, because you will. And that is indicative of a healthy relationship, because things come up and then you figure out a way to deal with them and then you move on. So don't be frightened of having issues that present themselves, because that's a part of the growing process and a part of the learning process. The trick is how you handle those things that come up, and then how you move forward through them.
About communication, one of the things that I've learned is that I am not responsible for how somebody reacts to my message, only how I deliver my message. If I deliver my message in a caring, thoughtful manner, then after that it's in their hands on how they choose to react to that.
Mm-hmm. And we try to encourage our members to use language that is not inflammatory language, but really, really try to express, when this happened, this is how I felt. This is how the situation occurred, and this is how I felt because of it. And sometimes really that's all you need, is to be able to be clear with how you feel during a situation, but without laying blame necessarily. This situation happened, and this is how I felt during it. And so as the captain of this ship, I try to hear all of these messages and continue to steer our ship forward towards the direction. The advantage of our house, having been around now for 10 years, is that we've worked out a lot of these, if you pardon the pun, kinks early on in the road. And that's not to say we don't have things come up from time to time, but we've really worked through a lot of these. And I would say the first few years was the strongest learning curve for me as to what violated my consent. I had an idea of how I wanted the house to be and what I wanted the individuals in it to strive for and grow towards. And so I really had to learn to keep that vision really on the horizon and head towards that. And if it feels right, and if you check in with yourself and it feels like you're going in the right direction, then I would say stick to that. Stick to what your gut says, but it's always important. Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope that this message was informative and you will find something that is useful to take back to your family.
And if you would like to see more of us, you can find us at www.thehouseofhunt.com. Kiss it.
Okay.
Did you ask first?
Yeah. But he generally likes more and growls and bites me on things.
Did you just violate his consent?
No, but he's quite clear with his communication.
Thank you so much for watching, everybody. If you haven't already, subscribe to become part of this leather family. And I'll see you next time on Thomas Time.